biggest, most spoken of match in the world is just around the corner. And even when considering all of the things that make this matchup so big, this upcoming fixture on October 26th will provide amazing insight as to how the seasons of each will proceed. You have one side with their tried and true methods that have devastated their opponents, but have also shown a few cracks of late. The other side taken down a completely new path, and while there's a lot of promise and key players in form, they too have proven that they are nowhere close to the finished product, as exciting as it may be. So what do some of the top analysts or pundits from these respective fan bases think of each other? Well, I interviewed two of the best representatives for each club in the English-speaking online space. We have Kiyan Sobhani of Managing Madrid and Dan Hilton of the Barcelona podcast, both linked in the description in case you want more from them. Now, here's the thing. I asked each of them the exact same question, same wording and everything. How can your team hurt the other team? What gives you pause or cause for concern in your own team going into this? And who will be a key player for each side? And from there, I crafted this entire video. But I interviewed them completely separately because I wanted their undiluted opinions. I was curious to see how they would answer without feeling like they had to defend their side from a point that the other guy had made, you know? And let me tell you, with that in mind, it was pretty interesting to see some of the similarities in their answers throughout portions of this video and tying it all together. And this portion of today's video is sponsored by Remitly, the official money transfer partner of La Liga in North America, which is running a fantastic sweepstakes right now that could see you win an official team shirt from the club you support in El Clásico. You pick. First of all, Remitly is a money transfer platform that serves over 170 countries and is trusted by millions of people worldwide. Why are they so trusted? With their great exchange rates, no hidden fees, fast transfers, and 24/7 chat support, it takes the worry out of transferring money to your loved one. You know that your hard-earned cash is in safe hands with Remitly. Not only is Remitly easy to use, but users love it due to different options when it comes to transferring money, bank deposit, mobile wallets, or you can even schedule cash pickup at a wide network of banks depending on the recipient's location. So how can you win a shirt courtesy of Remitly? Click on the link below or scan the QR code on the screen and use the code El Clásico to get $15 off your first Remitly transfer when you send $50 or more from the US by November 15th, and you'll be entered for a chance to win a 2025-26 shirt from the team you support in El Clásico. Winners will be notified on November 27th. See the description for full details. So, thanks again to Remitly for sponsoring this video, and let's get to it. Last season, this fixture was absolutely dominated by Flick's Barcelona. From 4 matches, Barcelona won all of them, scoring 16 goals and conceding 7. And it's funny, in looking at their previous meetings over the last few seasons, you can see how each team has taken their turn at dominance. Real Madrid won every Clásico in the 23-24 season and lost all but one of them in the season prior to that. There's a huge back and forth nature of late, which makes things all the more interesting. How is this season going to look? Will there be a dominant force or is it more split? Now, in Kylian Mbappe's first rumble with Barcelona as a Real Madrid player, he set a career high of 8 offsides for a single match. It was unbelievable to watch, as this was where we really saw the effectiveness of Barcelona's high line. And so, of course, with some of the difficulties they've had in being as effective this season, and with Mbappe in such devastating form...
I know that the pundits love to just scream the word high line, and again, all credit to your Real Madrid pundits, but I bet they're also going to mention that they're really excited to see the speed of Real Madrid against the high line.
Now, as we'll see a few times in this video, well, let me say this. The theme of this video is sometimes the most obvious answer is the best answer, right? We can try to be clever and big brain an answer, but sometimes it's silly to point to anything else because, well, just because it's obvious. You know, doesn't mean it's necessarily wrong.
The most obvious thing for everyone to see is Barcelona's defense is not where it was last season. They're clearly missing Íñigo Martínez. I think last season, everybody saw the high line, but exploiting it was more challenging than recognizing that it can be exploited. It was very difficult for opposing teams to stay onside, to figure out their offside trap, which was masterfully held. If you look at it, you got to give a lot of credit to Hansi Flick and Barca for that. I think teams are starting to exploit that more.
So what you're seeing now is teams having enough time to figure out just how to beat this backline of Barcelona's. But one of the individuals that Kian mentioned is absolutely at the heart of some of the struggles that we've seen Barcelona have defensively. And the guy at the heart of it is a guy who's not there anymore, Inigo Martinez. Martinez was the general of that back line. As good as Pau Cubarsí will end up being, the leadership and guidance of Martinez was crucial to how Flick wanted his back line to operate. Now that he has left for Saudi Arabia, Barcelona didn't bring in a like-for-like replacement. Hell, they didn't bring in a replacement at all. Instead, they leaned on who they already had in Christensen and Araujo, which many culers thought was a gamble. In the last couple of matches, we've seen Barcelona's backline struggle. PSG found tons of space in the closing stages of the match, while Sevilla found it often throughout the match. But if you ask Dan, the failures of the high line are a symptom of a broader problem.
It's not just the high line, it's that the press begins at that front line for Barcelona, and if it's lacking up top there, then the opposition is able to man mark Pedri and De Jong, as PSG did, as Sevilla did. And over the course of 90 minutes, that not only is going to tire Barcelona out, yeah, it will ever so slightly, but that does mean that there will be space to then attack Barcelona's high line.
And part of that failure in the press was not having important pieces at times, such as Lamine Yamal or Rafinha. In fact, lately both had been missing at times, and you can throw Fermin Lopez into the conversation as well. Now, whether they or one of them or all of them make El Clásico will be up in the air. Each one is facing a different reality or road to recovery. But what isn't up for questioning is how each one missing makes not only Barcelona's attack suffer, but their defense as well, as Dan mentioned.
My fear is that really is fitness, is that if you don't have the right permutations, then your press is going to be lacking. So it's kind of, again, all those things in tandem with, if the press isn't working without the ball, even when you have the ball and you're looking to get forward, if you don't have Lamine Yamal on that right side to also attract that attention. Because again, for Lamine Yamal, if he's going to lose the ball, I would much rather have him lose the ball in that high right corner flag as opposed to in the middle of the field. And if Barcelona, I mean, Gavi's also out for a while. If Barcelona cannot play out of the back with Juan Garcia, because Tech is not as good, or Szczesny is not as good with the ball at his feet, and then you don't have Gavi to win those second balls, those are all those little things. It's not just one weakness. All those little things add up to why I would think Real Madrid could find not only space, but some success in this match.
So what about Barca? All of this talk about how Real Madrid can hurt their opponents, how Barcelona's press affects their high line, and so on and so forth, but what about the other side of the coin? Remember how I said to keep in mind the similarities in their individual answers?
I think Real Madrid's weakness is actually not dissimilar to Barcelona's in that they've looked vulnerable defending their own high line. Dean Howson, as great as he is on the ball, there are question marks whether he's quick enough in transition. Real Madrid have been prone this season to conceding breakaways, and either Courtois has come up big or Real Madrid have taken a red card or almost have taken a red card in those situations trying to prevent the breakaway. So the center backs need to be very on high alert and quick reacting to breaks behind the high line. And a lot of that starts with the press, right? So Real Madrid are pressing pretty aggressively this season. This is not something that Real Madrid fans are accustomed to seeing. In many cases, the press is successful and Real Madrid are able to pin their opponents. I think teams like Barca are better equipped to bait the press and play through it, although we've seen Rayo give Barcelona problems pressing them. We've seen PSG obviously give them problems. So if Real Madrid are not successful winning the ball high up the pitch, then teams can play through their midfield.
And there is one of the biggest keys to this match, the midfield. And thankfully on their side, going further with this keys theme, the guy who has the keys to Barcelona's midfield is one of the best midfielders in the world, and someone who Kian pointed to as central to Barcelona's success in this game, should they find success, of course.
Pedri. Against PSG, Barcelona really struggled dealing with the pressure and escaping the backline, and Pedri was the only one who looked capable of doing that in that game. And the moment he came off in the 80th minute, Barcelona lost all semblance of control that they had in that game.
Pedri is the metronome. He is how Barcelona ticks. When he, unfortunately against PSG, he was just, the living daylights were kicked out of him in a death by 1,000 little kicks, the same way that teams used to defend Messi as well. And Luis Enrique knew that against PSG. And so when Pedri leaves matches, yes, again, De Jong is doing better this season in keeping some modicum of control on the field. But without Pedri, it's a different Barcelona. And so to me, while even he won't pick up an assist, or who cares about what is, his expected assist compared to his actual assists, and that is a pain point for Culés for a few years now. But it's not just about the numbers for Pedri. Watch the matches, watch Barca for 90 minutes, and you're going to go, oh, everything kind of flows through him, even though the highlights might be of Rashford or Rafinha or Lamine Yamal or other players.
Not that anyone needed convincing, but it's great to see Pedri get the respect that he deserves from the world of football in this moment. You had Aitana Bonmati saying he's the best in the world, amongst tons and tons of pundits out there. And so it will come as no surprise to you that this is where Dan and Kian really, really agree. I mean, to be honest, they have agreed on quite a few things in this video, but that's what happens when you have two very knowledgeable and level-headed pundits or analysts from their respective fan bases, right? But all the same, they both look to Pedri, they both see Barcelona's collapse against PSG in the same way, and that being key to any success they should or shouldn't have. What about on the other side? Who is key for Real Madrid? This season, there is one guy that is head and shoulders above the rest as far as, maybe not performance as a whole, as I think someone like Arda Güler has also been really good, but as far as stepping up, putting in the numbers, and getting the headlines, Mbappe is above everyone. Well, maybe in performance too.
It's easy to say Mbappe and Lamine Yamal because they're the respective best players on each team. You know Mbappe and Lamine Yamal are going to have great chances, and they're probably going to produce offensively.
So I as reductive as it might sound, it has to be Mbappe, right? It has to be, this is El Clásico, this is a major match, and Mbappe is on form this season. So if he's a guy that's going to score a brace, then maybe Barcelona don't have more than 2 goals in them to get a win out of it. So as much as I would say Vinny Jr. or some other kind of player, I mean, Arda Güler is also having a good season, but yeah, I think I just have to kind of keep it simple, stupid, and go with Mbappe.
So then there's someone like Fede Valverde, who in years past would be a good choice for a key to Real Madrid's success.
To me, and under Xabi Alonso, the one thing that Real Madrid still, since Toni Kroos and Luka Modric have gone to other pastures, that's really the one thing that Real Madrid fails to do. So I think the greatest strength that Barcelona does have isn't necessarily controlling the match for 90 minutes. Like, Real Madrid is way too talented for that. When I see these two teams line up against each other, Fede Valverde was kind of that one profile that Barcelona couldn't match, but he, to me, is not really having the season he's needed to have.
An X factor for me, Jude Bellingham. I'm going to omit the start against Atletico because he clearly was not ready for that game. They rushed him back and he was not physically ready. After the international break, we're going to see him be much closer, if not right at match fitness where he needs to be. And where he plays is a question mark for me, because if he plays, Real Madrid may deviate from the 4-3-3 with Masantuono on the right wing, which is a blueprint that has worked for them all season. But to accommodate Jude Bellingham, you have to either bench Arda Güler, which is not happening because he's been the best creator in Europe, statistically speaking, or you have Masantuono, who is not obviously at a polished, peak version of himself because he's a young teenager who's very raw. He makes mistakes, but he brings so much defensive energy for Xabi Alonso, which Xabi Alonso really values. So I'm very curious to see what happens with the lineup. Does Real Madrid deviate from a 4-3-3 to accommodate Jude Bellingham, or do they put Bellingham in midfield? I don't know. We'll see. This is a question mark I have.
And thankfully, all of these questions will be answered very, very soon, because we can try to analyze what's happened so far this season, what's happened in the past, and that does inform the future. It gives us a good idea of what could come, but it's never a guarantee. And this matchup has consistently been one of the most exciting in the world due to that unpredictable nature, that explosive nature of it. So, let's enjoy. A big thank you to the fellas for providing their insight, and thank you for watching. I'm Adrian, and enjoy the game. Take care.